Hello and welcome to Public Sector Planning, Monitoring and Evaluation. This is a short overview to tell you what we're going to do and what to expect for the next 14 weeks. My name is Judith Lowen. I'll be your facilitator for the 14-week module. So you'll get to know my voice and you'll get to know me a little bit better, and I hope that you will enjoy the journey that we will embark on together. Planning, monitoring, and evaluation is part of our daily lives. It's actually something that we do all the time without really thinking about it and without knowing the terminologies that we are going to look at. So when we start to unpack the different terminology, try to link it to things in our daily lives so that you can realize that it's actually not something that is new and foreign. One of the most important things to remember is that monitoring and evaluation is not an exact science. It's part of learning. So even if we fail, then it's not really failure as long as we learn something from it. So to be successful in the intervention that we plan is obviously what we want to do. But when we get information that what we were planning and what we were doing were not working, then that does not equate failure. It actually tells us that we need to change what we've been doing, and it is a very valuable part of the whole learning process. So throughout, don't be scared to try new things. Don't be scared to come up with indicators and to change them again afterwards. So part of the learning process is to make mistakes and to learn from those. Be creative, be bold, try new things, and let's enjoy the process together. For the public sector planning, monitoring and evaluation module, there are 2 prescribed textbooks available online. So the first is Evaluation Management in South Africa and Africa by Klute, Rabi and de Koning. The second one is Developing Monitoring and Evaluation Frameworks by Markowitz and Patrick. So we will be using these 2 extensively. This picture will give you a little bit of a bird's eye view of what lies ahead in the 14 weeks. In the first 2 weeks, we will spend a little bit of time on overview and background. We will unpack some of the concepts in week 1 that you will later on apply. In week 2, we're going to do a little bit of time travel, and we're going to look at the history of monitoring and evaluation in the world context, South African context, as well as in the African context. We'll also then narrow focus to look at the policies in South Africa. In the planning phase, that will start in week 3 and end in week 6 with the theoretical part. Week 7 will then be assignment on all of the planning that we've done. So we're going to look at planning a little bit differently from the traditional way that we plan in government, which is not necessarily replacing that, because that is still what Treasury requires us to do, but it just enhances the process. So please keep an open mind during the planning phase and explore the new ways of doing strategic thinking and strategic innovation that we'll introduce. In week 7 is the assignment. So it will be an integrated assignment based on a workplace activity or workplace intervention of your choosing. So for me, the ideal would be that you use something in your workplace that can actually be used practically and can also benefit you in the work environment. Then in week 8 up to week 13, we will then apply the monitoring and evaluation aspects that based on the plans that we've developed in week 3 to 7. So there we will start to unpack the concepts that we've learned about in week 1. So then we'll look at each one of them individually and make sure that the pieces of the puzzle, from indicators to baseline to monitoring and evaluation, reporting, and putting them all together in an M&E system. Week 8 to week 13 will then be assessed during the integrated assessment of week 14, and that will then bring us to the end of the process. So each one of the weeks will be introduced separately as we continue. Throughout the 14 weeks, you will be guided and assisted to complete a number of activities. So these formative activities will either be individual activities, some of them will be reviewed by peers, some will be in the form of mind maps. We will use case studies, article analysis, forum discussions, and even some more that will be revealed later on as the process unfolds. So weekly, you will be introduced to the topic of the week. You will be given the reading for that week from mostly the prescribed textbooks, but also we will be providing you with new articles and with different aspects. Sometimes you will be required to do a little bit of research on your own on certain topics. You will be given the activities that would be required for that week, with guidelines on how to complete them and also how they will be assessed. Every week, the forum is always there to discuss and to ask any questions that might be unclear. So remember, use the wealth of knowledge in the participants, that your fellow learners. So please ask questions, please participate fully in the forum, because that would be where a lot of the learning will take place. And then very important that application is always the key. So we will have a lot of activities on application, and you have to make sure that you know how to apply all of these concepts so in the workplace to improve the way that we do things. Good luck and enjoy the journey. So I'll see you in week 1.